let's talk about. So this is a brand new, wild and weird thing. This is Brian Payton. You will assume half of the responsibility for the fact that we are trying this. But
half of the responsibility.
But we are going to play our Nintendo Codename NX prediction game, and you at home, you get to play too.
Is he participating too?
His hands up, so yes.
Yes, he is.
So he's clearly wants to participate.
Intimidated.
So if you go on over to IGN.com and find the article of this podcast where it's posted, you will see a list of the same categories that we're about to be talking about with respect to the NX. So our prediction game is going to revolve around 5 categories. We're going to talk about what do you think the hardware spec is? What do you think the controller is? And then 3 unique features to the machine itself. Fill it in. You email that to nvc@ign.com. We will read a couple of these next week. The best ones that we see, we'll absolutely read them on the show, along with your username, and that's about it. All right? So we're going to play this round-robin game. You ready to join us? I think
Ryan needs to start because he invented the feature.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I think you should.
Well, thank you.
Oh, and for folks at home, last thing, sorry. Obviously, we know nothing about Nintendo's next hardware. So this is absolutely a shot in the dark to some degree.
I tried to dig last week, too. I talked to a few publishers.
You're trying to cheat.
Yeah,
He's
and
cheating.
no, there's just nothing out there
yet.
yet.
And for the record, I know nothing, too. So
so this
early.
is just a few guesses. Don't take it personal if you don't like what you're about to hear. All right.
Do you have to make those kinds of
No, I don't. I hope not. Go.
So, I thought this would be really fun because I just like these kinds of things, and it makes you kind of think and try to predict industry trends. And for a company that has a history of being extremely unpredictable, which makes this even more fun. So, I love this exercise, and when I started to think about Nintendo's next hardware, I think of a couple of different things. One of them is that I think if they look really take a hard look at their financials, their main strength now is in portable devices. There's no question about it. The 3DS has sold 5 times the amount that the Wii U has sold, and so I have to think that a lot of the Nintendo Fusion fans and conspiracy theories, there's some truth to that. That the next bit of hardware will collapse the 2 pillars into one. They focus their energies now on developing games for one platform, and then another one, the new one, which will be smartphones. And that the new console, so to answer the different categories, the hardware, in my opinion, is going to be very close to Wii U based. And the reason being that is that they've already said publicly that the high spec of the Wii U, relatively speaking, for that company has been a big challenge for them to get into the HD realm. You can see how beautiful a lot of these games are, like Mario Kart, and that it's very expensive, it's time consuming, and that I don't think they want to go anything beyond that. And so I have to think that then the controller, I believe, is some sort of like amalgamation of the Wii U controller. But now players can take that outside of their home. And so there's some kind of battery attached to it. So players can then take this amazing Wii U library plus new games that they're going to experience. And I just have this mental image of this kind of promotional video of them like running around, walking around like forests in Kyoto with this new console, where they are using the camera, they're using amiibos, and they're going outside to kind of play on where their strengths are. It's their made franchises, which are Yokai Watch, Pokemon, Monster Hunter. These games that younger audiences and guys like us we really like, and focusing on those experiences where you use like the AR camera. So that'd be one of the features where they try to do with Wii U, and they'll also try to do with 3DS, but not with much success, which is using the camera and like going in real life and scanning your amiibo or scanning other things and playing some kind of experiences with Nintendo characters that are very unique and encouraging people to go outside because that's what they do already. And so, sorry to go on this point a little bit more, but I was in Japan recently. I was blown away by I was in a Japanese neighborhood, and there was like these kids running around there, and they're in elementary school, and one of the kids had a 3DS, and I said, "What game are you having?" Of course, he's playing Yokai Watch 2. And I said, "How many hours have you played?" And he said, 300. I was like, "Wow, that's pretty impressive." And then this other kid came by with his 3DS on a Saturday, and like, "Let's all play." And by the end of it, there was like 6 or 7 kids in this neighborhood, all collected, and the collective hours they put into Yokai Watch was over 1,000. And I thought that was amazing.
Wow.
And
okay.
they all had like Yokai Watch stickers. Like Yokai Watch is huge phenomenon in Japan, coming outside of Japan soon, right? And so it's got me to think that if you're a smart company, you're going to build something that still you have that target audience, at least in Japan, and you're not going to want to let that go, and you want to bring that outside of Japan as well. So I believe it's going to be a portable system that can still allow for great Pokemon Yokai Watch experiences. As a quick side note, so I don't forget, they said, hey, they asked me if I had a 3DS. I said, sure. And they said, what game are you playing? I said, Majora's Mask. I said, oh, yeah, that's that new Zelda game. I said, well, it's new, but it's also old. And they said, what do you mean it's old? They said, well, it came out like 15 years ago on the Nintendo 64. They said, what is a Nintendo 64? I said, get out of here, kids. You're done.
Wow.
The second feature, I got to the bulk of what I think my prediction for the console is going to be, or for the dedicated gaming system.
We're in trouble,
puts
Per.
it.
I don't know if
the
I
second
prepared
one
this
will
well.
be an HDMI plug, just like a Fire TV or a Chromecast, right? Where you plug into your TV to then beam whatever when you're at home from this piece of hardware that will go to your TV if you want to have that more console-like experience where you can play the new Zelda game. And then the third one is going to be, well, I think I more or less got to it, but yeah, I think if I kind of, it's the AR camera, it's going to be this HDMI plug, and it's the portability, I think, are like the big three things that I want to talk about. And the last big point about the portability is that I think that they might want to go after the Vita market, because I'm not sure that Sony's going to continue with the Vita, and so there might be, a little bit of like an opportunity to get more people playing portable games. So I'm really saying that they're going to bank on where their success is and go deeper into that. The big question mark I have, though, is like, how are they going to deliver the games? When you're talking about 14 gigs for Xenoblade, are these going to be on discs? Are they going to be download? It would make sense if it would be on download, but Nintendo has a very, very strong relationship with retailers, especially in the States. And when you look at download numbers in Japan, if you look at Famitsu, it's a very, very small percentage of 3DS games and Wii U games that get downloaded on the eShop. So I have to think that they might not be ready to jump into a full digital world just yet, because their consumer base right now is so used to buying box product.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like maybe you have to buy an amiibo to get the download code, or so. I just don't know what that is. That's a big question mark in my mind of like how they distribute the game. But I don't think they're going to go anything above what a DVD can handle. That's one of my predictions, I guess.
Interesting.
So sorry, I was a little bit all over the place, but
No, it's all good.
That was
Yeah.
deep. I'm scared, honestly. Yeah? I don't think what I brought to the table at all can live up to what you just dropped.
No, come on, man.
Well,
this is what you do for a living.
I do.
And Jose is not a believer of the portable working at a home console level.
What does it cost?
Yeah. All right.
And even the storage problem, which you just pointed out to some degree, is a vexing sort of like, how would they get around that limitation?
Well, no, but the Vita does, right? Like those games, you can have like 5-6 gig games on these little cards.
Yeah.
It does, but I still don't believe every game scales well from TV to portable screen. Bloodborne is my key example. I tried to play Bloodborne, which you're a huge fan of, by the way.
You trying to play on the
I
Vita?
had to play Bloodborne on my Vita.
But yeah,
and
you don't want to.
I didn't really want. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want it.
I'm not saying you're gonna be streaming it from some kind of other place.
No,
right?
I'm not. The streaming wasn't the issue. The issue was that seeing that game on a smaller screen took away a lot of what made it interesting to me.
Would you say the same thing about Monster Hunter?
Surprisingly, no. But I think I'm trained. I'm already trained because of my devotion to that series.
Exactly.
That it works.
That's more or less my argument,
Yeah.
right? Is that like, yeah, we all agree that it's nice to have in your home theater system,
Sure.
but that there are a lot of game experiences, including Dark Souls for me, that I think would be a killer feature. That if I can play Dark Souls on the go.
But I would say what does work in Monster Hunter's favor is that it is focused on only boss fights. It is not trying to sell a world to you very well. You're not doing anything else in that world but cutting down a big monster, but it does it super well.
So NVIDIA's coming out with a console called the Shield. It's be $199. It's coming out, I think, in a month or two, or very soon. It might even be coming out this month. But that tells me, and that's around a 360 spec or a little bit plus 360, right? That tells me that's around the same sweet spot as a Wii U. As the NX, in my opinion. Like, I think it's be like the Wii U level of fidelity. Oh, and one of my theories is that if you go back and look at like the GBA, they were bringing in Super Nintendo games into the GBA catalog, right? They reach into the back catalog and they bring in, that's the spec we're talking about, roughly speaking, right? You look at the Nintendo DS, what was the launch title? Mario 64. They're taking 64 games in the back catalog. Then the console is like 3DS. They're getting some GameCube games, right, that they're bringing into the 3DS. And then the NX, in my opinion, is the next evolution, which would be Wii U level. It's the singularity, man. Both the portable.
You skipped the Wii.
Well, Wii and Wii U, right? That the
Same thing,
right? But yeah, I think it's. I think
but
if
most
you look,
Wii software is built around motion.
Yeah.
NX is not going to be able to handle
Was
that.
it?
Most Wii games.
Yeah, that's
built
kind of
around
why I
motion.
skipped over the Wii, because I think it's kind of it's also GameCube based and all that kind of stuff. So,
Good
but
point.
if you look at if you just chart it very simply, you can see that the singularity is happening, and that's where it's coming with the dedicated gaming system called the NX. Jose Otero.
All right, Perry, you're up.
Yeah, so, okay. Well, this is going to be very boring.
Yes. Oh, okay.
I've already told you that I think the next device is going to be the bridge device between the console and the handheld markets.
Woohoo.
The biggest issue is that they cannot support two markets.
Three. They would have to do three then with
Well,
smartphones.
yeah, and they're adding smartphone to it. And they could be adding PC too, by the way, right? Like they've talked about that. So, I mean, to me, the NX connects. That's what it is, right? I think the actual console is just going to be a tiny little cube that you hook up to your television. That's your HDMI connection and everything. And it has some other inputs as well, all right? The NX itself is a handheld device with a screen, has a touch screen, no motion, whatever, no motion gaming whatsoever. And you connect it to your console and you can play on the big screen. You can take it wherever you want to go. It is not going to be as powerful as a PS4 and an Xbox One.
Correct.
It's going to be in between the Wii U and the PS4 and the
So you think
Xbox
it'll
One
be higher
level
spec
control.
than Wii U
I think
a
it'll
little bit?
be slightly higher spec than the Wii U. I think they're spending all their time now trying to figure out how to pull off Wii U plus style graphics on a handheld machine. You know, it doesn't mean that it's going to display full resolution when you take it on the go. And I bet that's how they're going to save on battery power. Like they figured out some sort of trick to not have it be as taxing on the machine when you're on the go.
They're on the phone
like
with
Street
Tesla.
Pass, for example?
Huh?
Well, for example, what Street Pass does to your machine?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah? Okay.
I can plug it into my Tesla. That's right. Getting it Tuesday. Thank you very much.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna be
So
Me too.
the controller is basically a new proprietary non-touch screen controller, but the key feature to the Kinect is that you can pair your Android phone to it, you can pair your iOS phone to it, to the little box that's going to have Bluetooth in it. So you'll be able to stream Nintendo games to your big screen as well, just with that little thing.
Cool.
Right, so it's like a Fire Stick
Nice.
or like any of these devices. It is so the NX is the central device at the center of this new Nintendo experience, which I said there's going to be one ID across all these devices. Then of course they announced it because they saw my prediction
Yeah, of
and
course,
they're like,
yeah.
we got to do this
Fans
too.
of the show.
And it's going to extend to the browser, to the PC browser. I think Nintendo will make browser games on
Wow.
the PC so that if you don't want to play your mobile phone, you can play similar games on your browser and by doing point and click rather than touch. So yeah, one central account, access to a unified Nintendo game library, and you build a network of friends across all of them. So even if somebody doesn't have the NX console, you can still have a friend and build up a friendship for the future, for the next devices. So unique feature number 2, okay, I already said that. That's you play your Nintendo mobile games, new 3DS games on the big screen as well. I haven't figured out how you can connect a new 3DS to that box because I don't think that really works. But maybe there'll be a new version of that one. And I think they will keep the 3DS line around for a little bit until with the GBA they realize it's done. But that is your cheap version of the handheld experience, the proprietary one, and the NX is going to be the more expensive one. The unique feature number 3 is that there will be a central achievement system, and I call it the NX Garden, because Miyamoto loves gardens. Basically, any game you play on any of these devices, mobile, NX, 3DS, and PC web frame, will unlock pieces for your garden. And so over time, you're building this beautiful garden with all these characters and elements and question mark blocks and racers and everything that you can explore. So it's like the evolution of the Wii U. Wii U got boring, right? Like all these characters running around that
Like in the Miiverse, right?
yeah, you don't know who they are, and like sure there's some cool drawings, but this is now your achievements. You're unlocking pieces that you're adding to this garden.
love it.
Yeah, that's basically it. And it will not be backwards compatible.
So no Wii U titles on it?
No.
Ooh.
Wait, but so does that mean that? Well, no, that doesn't necessarily mean like the new Zelda.
Well, that's going to be for NX. That's not going to be a Wii U title.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's going to be the launch title.
Ooh.
All right, done. What do you got?
Wow. Ouch.
I agree.
First of all, the only thing I would push back on was the portion about
Everything.
No, not everything.
It will not be a handheld.
I don't subscribe to the handheld console
Okay, you
hybrid
think-
theory. Like I don't.
So you
I
think
don't.
it's a home console?
I don't. I think it is a home console,
home
but I'm going to get to
exclusive.
that. Yes.
Okay.
But I'm going to work my way around to why I believe that in a second. The notion that Nintendo can't support two platforms is only true because the very few companies are making games for those platforms. I do think that no other first-party publisher has been put in this situation because they basically work to make sure that third parties are making things for their box. And I think Nintendo sadly has tossed that away. They believe that if the concept is cool enough and the install base grows enough, third parties are going to come running to do things on their machine because of the opportunity, not because it's a port of a game that you can get somewhere else or that it's easy for those companies to do.
Yeah, but think
Yeah.
about like the 3DS. It's not exactly that nobody has the DS line of devices, and yet the third-party supply dried up. Why would they be able to solve that?
That is why I firmly believe this is for
Set
my
up.
first the hardware spec. I do believe it is a home-based, a home console that is Wii U based to preserve backwards compatibility. Number one.
Okay.
And number two is because even though they are very successful on the 3DS gaming handheld market, gaming handhelds are dying. I think making games for smartphones puts Nintendo in a position where they do have a graceful exit from that market because
think they're gonna
smartphones are the place
Do
to
you think
be
they're
right
going to
now.
abandon the whole portable?
I think to a degree they have
Marketplace?
to. I mean, Sony put out one of the best handheld kits you have seen, and no one is going after it.
I think
because
over
they'd
time too,
rather-
though. But like what I'm proposing with the NX is like the home console is now both. So eventually they're not going to have a separate line of portables.
I love the fantasy that the
Uh-huh.
that the NX is both, but I don't subscribe to it because battery life is still an issue.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
cost is still an issue. I still feel like ultimately Nintendo wants to make really original Nintendo experiences, and maybe focusing on a portable gaming handheld has taken away to some degree from their home console.
But at the end of the day, they're in a business that has to make money, right?
They do.
And if for the past 5 years, it's all been about portable.
It has. Portable has carried them through some of the hardest times they've been through.
So, and also their team sizes and their expertise are not so much in these really home focused high spec games. It's like it's always their bread and butter has been a little bit like a generation behind and focusing on mechanics. So if I said that, I think that if anything they would, if they had to choose between one, they would go portable before they would go home. You would disagree?
Yes, sadly. Only because I don't see the dedicated gaming handheld market getting any bigger. I feel like it has been shrinking. I feel smartphones took a lot of it away.
So you're saying that Nintendo would go face to face with PS4?
Yes.
All right, interesting.
Well, someone's got to be different on
No,
this.
no,
If
that's
I'm-
good.
if I'm
No,
the
that's
guy
good. I'm
who-
happy.
That's good.
I'm
Yeah.
happy because this
If
makes it a
I'm-
lot more
yeah,
interesting.
I
I
gotta
would
be
love
the
that.
different
I would
one.
love that machine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll buy one.
Also, the machines you guys put out there do not like. I mean, if it is Wii U based spec, though, that's a problem, right? Like I have that listed as my hardware spec only because I also think Nintendo believes that if the concept is unique enough, it's gonna sell, and that's why I kind of like the ones you guys pitched because I'm like, wow, those sound unique. I would want to buy that. I would.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna.
No, you're
I'm
gonna buy
not
it
even
anyway.
gonna lie.
You've got, how many 3DSs do you have anyway?
Don't let's
answer
not.
that.
I'm not answering that on air. But I do think there is a spec. There is a place for Wii U in this hardware spec, only because those games were really good, and ultimately they're going to be lost.
Totally. That's why
Yeah.
I think it's really important that the next console is at least a Wii U caliber because in terms of specs you want these games to go away. You spend all this time and effort into these games. You want more people to play them and
Yeah.
experience them. And it would be a shame if like these great Wii U titles were not being experienced by more people.
And if Nintendo has to focus mostly on one box, I think it works in their favor versus having to split their attention between two. But the problem with a Wii U base spec machine is that does that consider third parties? And I don't think it does, and that worries me. I do think though that I love the idea you guys have. I just don't subscribe to it because I think there's still too many challenges along that route. Controller. I think it is a new controller design.
That's a Wii U spec machine I'm
Well,
holding up called the iPhone.
Well, I'm glad you brought
yeah,
that up because
yeah.
actually one of my unique features is that this next machine will integrate smartphone features in the sense that you're going to
Is
play
it a cradle?
You're going to play a game on your smartphone that will impact a game you own on your Wii U.
You mean like Assassin's Creed
There's
Black
going to
Flag,
be
where
sort
you
of
got your
a
little
way
flag?
that something that
fleet.
you're doing on your smartphone,
Yep.
something that you're doing will contribute to a game that you're playing on
Okay.
your NX. I think that they want to
Yep.
marry those spaces, even though it's not their hardware,
Yeah, so
because they want that entryway to get to those kids.
I totally get that whole concept, and I have to think that they either hinted or said explicitly that these ecosystems are supposed to do that, like the smartphone
Mm-hmm.
games are supposed to enhance or talk to the other platforms, or have they said it explicitly, or is it
It's
more of a
all
hint?
very vague. It's translated from Japanese,
Right.
so you can interpret it in
And
lots of ways.
When I read that, I assumed that that's what they were doing, and that doesn't surprise me because that's a very it's a story that we've heard before. Yeah, like was it Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed has some of these kind of functionality, but to me it's like a fool's errand, just as it is like the two-screen experience. When you look at like the dual screen functionality for whether it's the 3DS or whether it's Wii U, it's a really nice concept at a high level. But even the geniuses at Nintendo can't make that a must-have experience.
Because the Wii U hasn't done it with a pad either,
they can't-
right?
Yeah, it's like,
no,
again,
for sure.
It just makes at a high level, you're like, yeah, that sounds awesome, right? But then when you sit down and think about the experiences, you get really, really smart people in a room. What they come up with is it's a map.
Or smart glass.
Yeah.
Let me
Right?
try and
So true or
save
false?
this a little bit.
True
No,
or false?
wait. Let me try and save this a little bit though. But you're assuming that what I mean is when you're playing a game on your television in the same room. I'm saying when you're on the go.
No, I know exactly
Your
what you're saying.
games are absolutely going to somehow tie into whatever's
well,
going
Well,
on.
Animal Crossing is a no-brainer for that.
Yeah, no.
right?
So
Absolutely.
what I probably didn't say it very well, but I'm saying like the two-screen experience. It's at a high level, it sounds sexy and amazing, right? That I play on a smartphone, it's going to enhance my other games, right? But just like Watch Dogs and the Assassin's Creed's experience, where Ubisoft has clearly spent millions of dollars on that initiative already, and to me, it's not a killer feature.
I heard the Watch Dogs one was pretty cool.
Yeah, you always hear it. It's like you hear about it, and I'm sure Halo's probably gonna have something playing. You always hear it's kind of cool.
But
when have you ever heard when these companies are putting millions of dollars behind it? They've never been able to
Yeah,
execute
but
on that
you're
vision.
completely throwing under the bus that Nintendo does have some pretty smart design in
I do,
terms
but
of.
I think it's like the two-screen
Yeah.
experience, where again it sounds at a high level, but it sounds great at a high level, but it's really hard to execute.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
I think the way it could work is on the go, you're making your levels from Mario Maker, but you can't play them. Like that kind of thing.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you can keep on creating when you're on the go. You can keep on designing the inside of your house for Animal Crossing, but you can't explore Animal Crossing unless you're on the console.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
I think
Yeah.
that would
I
be
can
fun.
see that.
So because I don't even know why I listed this. No, well, I just think they finally learned their lesson about voice chat, and that voice chat is absolutely part of the multiplayer.
Does it have a
experience
telephone
on the
built in,
Net.
like a receiver, like a on
No.
top?
When they announced the Universal Studios ride, I
Yeah.
jokingly said in the office we should make a list of things that they should absolutely make sure don't happen, and one of them would be like you're allowed to talk to people on rides.
Oh,
No, should they say you can't talk to anyone on
wow.
rides at Universal? It's a low blow.
Damn.
Anyway,
Only in the lobby, not on the
Yeah,
ride.
But
not on
here's
the
a
way.
question,
Yeah.
but why? Why would
But why?
Nintendo all of a sudden embrace voice chat? What's the vision?
I think the vision being that they are coming around to what gamers want. I mean, Nintendo, to a degree, has constantly maintained that we understand gaming. We have been the innovators of gaming.
Right.
We have great ideas, and this is how we do things. But at the end of the day, that we is not taking into consideration the one very important, the customer. The customer is right. The customer is right very often, and the customer wants that.
Are you saying as a customer is like a hardcore Nintendo fan? Because the target audience of the Wii, which is a massive success, amazing. I love thinking about the Wii. Love talking about the original Wii. That their target audience was not their core audience. Is they wanted to go into to older people. They wanted to go to adults. They wanted to go
With
moms
Wii,
and dads.
absolutely.
It was amazing, and
Yeah.
it's a huge success, right?
Yeah.
And they knew who their target audience was. And I think we can all assume that with the 3DS, they're going for the more younger audience, right? And then when you look at the Wii U, they were very confused about who they're going after.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah,
And
they
so
were
are you
Just
absolutely
like with the
confused
GameCube,
about
by
it,
the
right?
way.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
GameCube.
It
Well,
was both.
a GameCube actually felt like they knew what they're going after. They're trying to compete with.
They wanted to be
with
a PS2,
Sony
yeah,
and Xbox,
yeah.
right? And it was a
Okay.
mistake.
Yeah.
And so, but after when at the end of the day, when you look back at the GameCube catalog, pretty awesome. But
Really
still,
good.
But not for a business decision, probably not a great one.
So wait, where are you going
so
with
my
this?
question is,
Yeah.
who do you think your target audience is for your prediction of NX? I'd love to know what Pear thinks too.
I mean, I think the Wii audience has moved on. I think they lost those people to smartphones as well. I think that the simple.
So it's it's a focus on the core.
I think it is going to focus on the core. I think they need to make a box that does focus on the core and focuses on the sort of. I mean, they don't like to focus on the core. I completely get that.
Like old school Nintendo fans, are they going after the true core right now? Is actually a younger audience. The kids who are buying Pokemon is the core audience. The kids who are buying Smash Brothers is the core audience.
I'd go after them if I were them.
The kids who are buying Yokai Watch is now the core audience.
Sure.
So are you saying they're going to go after this younger audience?
I think so.
Or the PS4 crowd, because the PS4 does not.
Because you were saying if your prediction is they're going to go against the PS4, like if it's going to be a direct competitor to the PS4,
like I'm on trial.
Yeah.
Then the PS4.
Objection!
Yeah, the PS4, the core audience is 30 to 35 males.
Yeah. No, I don't think they're going after the PS4 audience.
So they're going after a younger audience.
I think they are
for
going
the
after
home.
For the home.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair
makes a lot of
enough.
sense.
Like,
Yeah.
like if you go back to the beginning of this generation, Sony had this moment. Sony had this moment where they said, "Hey, everything we did with the PS3, we're gonna pivot. We're gonna be all about gamers.
Yeah.
Forget the
Yeah, they love it,
we do." And it sounded for a second like you were saying Nintendo was doing that, where they like, "Oh, we made a mistake. Now we're gonna be all about the hardcore." But that's not what you said.
No, I think the core audience is those kids, but I also want to say that the core audience to them right now is still those kids. I don't think that's changed at all with Wii U. We use marketing, we use games. Everything is about something colorful, something that's family friendly. I don't think that focus changes at all just because they moved on to the next hardware.
But the average.
They're not going for gritty, Uncharted, Gears of War, Halo. That will never be a part of Nintendo's identity. I would never. If that's what you thought I meant, that is not what I meant.
What I think who they're going after with Wii, or who's purchased a Wii U, are the adults that grew up with Nintendo, right? Who have families,
or adults who think it's cool for the kids and don't want to buy them a iPad. Or something.
I think, and I think those are the roughly 5 million people that bought Mario Kart 8.
Okay.
I think that's about 5 to maybe 10 million of them out there of adults who can afford, who want a home audience or a home console like the Wii U.
But let me ask you this: what's wrong with Nintendo if the audience is those kids, that core gamer? We were that audience.
Wait, no, say that
we
again?
were 100. That audience.
Wait, which audience?
The kid audience.
The kid, like the 3DS.
The yokai,
kid?
yeah, the 3DS kid. Yokai Watch kid. Yokai kids.
Ghost kids.
Let's talk about
Pokemon
the yokai kids.
What's wrong with chasing after that market? We were that market.
We
were 100% that market.
My argument is that they are going to go after those guys.
Yeah.
But that they're going to do it in the portable space because that's what they're familiar with.
So, just the only good argument against our approach, there are lots of good arguments.
Yeah,
like hardware power is definitely a
really
huge
think of
issue.
any.
Battery, all that. No, but the big argument against our machine is that it looks too much like the Wii U. Because
true.
And maybe that's how Nintendo works, but because the Wii U was not different enough from the Wii, and that hurt them, right?
They better not call it a Wii something.
Yeah.
Last point. A reason why this is the death blow, Jose, and I'll bring a box of tissues.
I didn't bring out the death blow
Wow.
for both of your ridiculous predictions.
So one of the reasons why
this is getting petty.
Why the 3DS does so much. We can't forget that Japan has a lot, or Nintendo still has a lot of success in Japan.
They do.
Even though I think we looked at their investor call, it was 70% of the revenue came out from overseas. I think part of it, a lot of it had to do with the weaker yen, but whatever.
Absolutely.
But in Japan, there's this phenomenon that's been happening for the past 10 years or so, where console gaming is dying like a miserable death. They barely sold 1 million PS4s.
And you know what they're playing on? Smartphones.
Yes, they're playing on smartphones.
They're not playing on Vitas.
And
they're not playing on 3DS.
Vita is hanging in there, and 3DS is doing great, and DS was doing even better.
Yeah.
And what is happening is that, and the reason is in Japanese homes, they usually have one TV. It's in the living room, and they don't families don't want the dad sitting there hogging the TV to play Resident Evil or Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy, and they've really moved away from the home experience. And what is happening is the reason why PSP was such a massive success in Japan is because it was primarily purchased by junior high kids because they can finally have their own screen. This is before smartphones were really taking off.
Yeah.
And games like Monster Hunter were a huge, huge hit because of this audience. And I think that's what we're going to continue to see is that as a Japanese company, all these guys who are working on this console go home and they see this phenomenon that they can't win the TV, the living room. It's done.
So can I ask you something though?
Game over.
Wow.
Okay, so that is a really good one. That is a really good one.
Flawless victory, I'd say. Yeah, we're done.
Not at all.
Well,
not at
thanks
all.
for listening to Nintendo Voice
That
Chat.
was
We'll be
it.
back,
Welcome.
No, not at all. So listen to me. Wait a minute. So I get what you're saying, but would you say that Sony, take PS3 to PS4, would you say that most of the reasons that PS4 is so successful is because they're listening to what Japan wants, or what the global world, the audience that they really want to cater, the global market wants.
It's global. The
Yeah,
PS4.
Do you really think
I agree.
Nintendo would only design a console around what Japanese gamers want, knowing the full well that what you just said, the fact that they don't want to hog the TV, they came up with a solution for that with the Wii U, and it failed.
So
It
what I'm
100%
saying,
did fail.
so
we
what
know
I-
that.
What I'm saying is that yes, it's not just because the Japanese market is as such that they're going to design the NX, but I think it's a huge reason why they would move in this direction of not trying to compete for the home. And a huge reason, another huge reason being, as I mentioned before, is that the PlayStation 4 is taking over, has a huge, really firm handle over the home market. And do you really want to go head to head with it? Because last time they did that, it was the GameCube. And again, I love the GameCube. It's one of my favorite consoles of all time. But from a business perspective, it will.
Yeah, but the GameCube failed for other reasons. It wasn't so much a hardware reason. It was more the failure to adapt to online. The industry was going a certain direction, and Nintendo didn't want to follow.
I don't think that's true. I don't think
That's part of it.
I don't think you can say that PlayStation 2 was successful because they had great online features.
No,
Yeah,
it
no.
didn't.
Right?
Yeah,
They
but
didn't have DVD player.
They had
right?
different franchises,
They didn't have the third-party support that Sony had. They were a year late.
Yep.
And they were competing in an area that they're not as familiar with. They started going to hardcore, mature titles that they didn't have GTA.
yeah.
Right? There's a lot of reasons why the
and
GameCube
it
failed.
conflicted with their image.
And here's the
which
thing.
at that point they didn't have.
Nintendo
that.
doesn't want to sell just 20 million, 30 million units of their hardware like the PlayStation 4 is selling. They want to sell 60, 70, like what the 3DS will do at the end of the day, what the Wii has done, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think they're going to get to that number in the home market.
Okay, that's bold. That is super bold.
It's not bold
I
because
just
look how many Wii
yeah,
U's
but
it
I
sold.
just don't think you may. I don't think you have a success when you base something solely around what Japan wants. And I think
No,
that
that's
Sony
not what I'm saying.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
not
he's
what I'm
not
saying.
saying it's just for Japan.
No, but it sounds like it is.
No,
to a degree.
No, I'm saying so the bigger reason.
Mhm.
If I had to like a pie chart, like 60-70% is like we're not going to compete in the home market because why? Because we haven't had success in it for the past 5 years,
Sure.
right? And the PlayStation 4 has won that market, right? And in Japan, so then the next the next 30% of the pie is going to be the Japan market, which is very important to us, has completely abandoned home consoles, and we're not going to regain that. We're not going
Yep.
to take over the TV anymore. We've lost that war, right? How many percentage do I have left? And
I'm
10%.
not counting.
And then yeah,
You're pulling like mystical magic.
so basically, what I'm trying to say is like
on us.
the Japan is a slice of that. It's like 1/3 of the argument. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
And they are very influenced. I mean, they're the most Japanese company out of all the game publishers, I feel, right? Like they make strong alliances with Japanese developers
And
on
those
everything,
games don't sell
right?
globally either.
Yeah.
The alliances that they have made to some degree for games that they have published on Wii U aren't
You
selling
just wait
either.
for Devil's Third.
You're trolling.
I'm actually excited about that. So.
All right.
But
Okay.
yeah, but you're
Okay.
right. You're right.
Oh,
Like,
that
yeah,
was you.
What
Yeah.
happened? Yeah.
There's just one.
Yeah, that's
one
just
person.
over here. No, I have two. We have raise your hands
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
excited
Oh,
for Devil's
all
Third.
right.
We
Give
got
him a
two
high
over
five. All right.
yeah.
We've gone over.
Yeah,
You
we
sure
better.
you're okay?
I better go to
Yeah,
my meeting.
You have to go to your meeting. We should wrap up this show.
But that was fun, and I hope I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't even
crash your
get through all
party
my
too much.
features
I'm
because
very-
I don't
I'm
have
very
them.
sorry, especially to your audience.
Hurricane Peyton.
If you didn't like me on your guys' show and talking about crazy predictions, I'm sorry.
Well, no,
I-
I'm happy I
that
had
was very
backup
fun.
finally. So Jose is going to see the one device future.
Yeah,
He'll
he'll get there.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope it happens. I will say that. I
Uh-huh.
just think I'm a bit more realistic with what I think the hurdles are, unlike you two.
So if I'm closer to the
We're not
true
betting a steak
NX
on the air.
than
Don't
you
do
are,
it. I
are
see
you
it.
are you
See it
going
in
to
your
buy me a
eyes.
steak?
I see it in your eyes
you
already.
going to
I
buy
owe
me a
you
steak?
one steak.
So-
So to out Ryan Payton, Ryan is the only person I took the Zelda Wii U bet with.
Which the delay bet?
The delay bet.
And he said it's going to get delayed.
He said it was
And-
going to get delayed. He had this cockamamie. They just haven't shown enough. Last E3, they didn't show it at
It
all.
doesn't have an official title.
It didn't have an official title, and he refused to believe that showing it at E3 this year was going to give us all those details. Like,
Yeah.
like not having that kind of a.
So he
a
was
setup.
already right on that too.
He was
Yeah.
not right on any of that. To his credit, it happened though. So,
So I'm
you're
very
gonna
much
get your
looking
steak.
forward to that steak.
Are
you're
you
gonna get
saying
your steak.
it's going to go to NX, or are you saying it's going to be a
think
Wii U
it's
game?
absolutely going to the NX.
Okay.
I don't,
Ooh.
yeah, absolutely.
Man,
I don't have an opinion anymore. I'm tired.
Really?
Yeah.
Pear also believes so.
I'm getting kind of like that sense.
You're
I
getting that
just don't
sense?
see the Wii U lasting that long.
It's sad
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It is sad too.
And it's not coming out Q1 as we've seen from their kind of lineup news
yeah,
and stuff.
they
So
said TBD.
yeah.